But yeah, we're all good. I can see our levels here.
Cool.
Look good.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately the plan here is just to keep talking to people in the area that are doing good stuff and
Highlight
highlighting all the good things
positivity.
happening.
Yeah. There's enough negativity out there, so if we could just
Like you said, you just got to go to the Neighbors Helping Neighbors page or anything like that, and you'll see all of it, or read your news source and all that.
yeah.
I got the live. It says we're live. We're good, Noah?
One of the hardest things to like fight now is social media. Not
Yeah.
fight, but like
Stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to stay on top of it.
It's unavoidable.
wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because anything can be said.
my wife gets here on the phone. I gotta make a post because if you see me on it, I mean, I try to react to those pretty quickly to, not just hide behind it, but just put the right information out there.
Yeah.
Because then it really calms the waters, and then people, are one surprised that I respond back to them.
Yeah.
And two, then people will see that, and usually somebody else will take over the conversation.
Exactly. Yep. Well, we're officially live.
Okay.
Mary Ann, thank you for coming in today.
Well, to
It's
be
an
here.
honor.
Thank you.
I want to start with a couple things. First off, I want to start with a story of a personal story that from you. Thankfully for you, I think I was probably 20, maybe 21. I had at 19, I dropped out of college at Indiana University to come back to pursue business here in the area and start my own business and get into real estate. And at that point, I started making a bunch of videos. I started making video marketing content. I was putting videos out there everywhere, all from my cell phone. I didn't have a videographer. We didn't have Noah at this time. It was just me walking around with a cell phone because I figured it'd be a good way to market to people and kind of build my business. I remember I was between 20 and 21 years old. So I was about maybe going into my third year into my business at this time. And you sent me a personal message on Facebook, which I'm thinking about this from your perspective as a mayor of a city, especially the size of Crown Point. You asked me to make videos for the city for the State of the City event.
Right.
You reached out to me personally and said, we want you to make our videos. I remember getting that message thinking, holy crap, first off. But second, thinking about it now, I mean, that says a lot about, I would not trust a 20 or a 21-year-old for that size of an event. That's an event you go to, there's hundreds of people. I mean, it is the top of the line event. Everyone's dressed to the nines, and it is an amazing event. And 30 minutes of that event is this 20-year-old kid's voice, that these videos that I wasn't a videographer, I was a real estate agent, right? Making videos for the entire city.
You could have pulled us because those were quality videos at that time.
Thank you.
And we followed you on social media, and I'm like, boy, we got to bring that in because you were capturing the essence of our city at that time, and especially at somebody at your age at that time can see that. We wanted to bring you in the fold like that and share because we couldn't do it. I mean, technology in today's world, at our age at that time when you were that age, was kind of new to us, and we were kind of like different about it, and so but we liked that content.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, for me, that was a huge blessing, and I'm forever grateful for that because that did a lot for me, even if from the perspective of, it was more so just the mental side of things of seeing that, how you look at the city, to see that you guys and your administration saw like, this is something that we need at this time. That was really, really cool. And that did a lot for me. I'm very grateful and thankful for that chance. So thank you.
It was a win-win. I mean, I'm glad it worked out better for you, but it worked great for us because, anytime you do the state of the cities, it's you recap the year before and you kind of forecast what the next year is going to be like. And typically in politics, those can be very dry.
Yeah.
And you brought another element to raise the game, to really show the community all the great things that our business owners were doing, or the volunteers that were coming in from the high school perspective and what kind of time they were putting in. And that when you start to see that and hear the stories and you can articulate it with video and voice, it sends a message out that's positive to the community and says, I'm going to be part of that. How do I get involved?
Yeah, and at that time, I did a little bit more than just my phone for those ones. I brought Nick Feliciano.
Yeah, you did.
So thanks to Nick Feliciano from Northwest Indiana Media. But yeah, no. But first, I just wanted to say that because if I was in your shoes, I probably wouldn't be calling a 20-year-old to make that content. I'd be calling a professional marketing company. So thank you. Second is I'm born and raised here. I'm born in St. Anthony. I've always had a Crown Point address. Besides when I went to Bloomington and left that semester and came right back. And my daughter was born in St. Anthony 18 months ago. We've been here our whole lives. For me, I'm very passionate about this area. Growing up, or maybe 7, 8 years ago, if I would have said that, I used to say it and say, as sad as it sounds, I've never left. Now I say it, and I'm extremely proud to say, like, I've never left, and I don't plan on leaving. So all that being said, to see where from driving down 109th, I spent a lot of my time growing up in Winfield, driving 109th here and back, school, sports, everything that's, and now in the business world and the real estate world, everything that has changed in this community due to what your administration, what you've done is, I think I speak for a lot of people in saying that we are unbelievably grateful to see the positive growth. And we were just talking about a little bit off the air about everything happening. From our perspective and my perspective as someone with a young family and kids and schools and everything that you guys are doing, and to see where it was from when I was born and growing up here to where it is now and where it's going, very, very, very grateful for everything that you have done. It is awesome to see, and I speak for a lot of people on that.
We appreciate that testimony for me and stuff like that. And I'll be the first to say that where we're at today, when we first took over in 2008, we formed that philosophy, building a strong community from within, get everybody involved. It's been a team setting from day one.
Yeah.
And, I'm a big sports fan. I love coaching, did it, the whole life, played sports. So I always tell you, if we're winning, it's the players, and the players are the residents, the business owners, our employees. If we're losing, it's the coach's fault, right? So, but Crown Point's been doing very, very well. It's been a team effort from our staff. We got Greg Falkowski here, our chief of staff. Before Greg was Keith Stevens, our chief of staff. But then you start looking at our department heads, employees. We really, from day one, get everybody engaged to push in the right direction where we're at today. So it was, I appreciate those comments, but we're a team effort here.
That's awesome, and it shows. So thank you guys for everything. Let's kind of touch in on, we like to talk with people again from the region doing great things, but love to hear your story, right? Because we see what you're doing now and everything that's happening. What led up here, to this point to where you're at. Because everyone loves a good success story. Everyone loves to hear, the story as to how great things happen. And kind of touch on that. I mean, where are you from? What is your story?
Well, I can't say that I was actually born and raised here in Crown Point, but but I pretty much spent all my life here in the city of Crown Point. I grew up in Cedar Lake, went to Hanover Central. I was born at the Hammond Hospital. That's where my mom was from and her family and stuff. But we gravitated to Cedar Lake. I graduated in '86. Went to Vincennes for 1 year. I was supposed to play baseball there and kind of hurt my back, so I kind of lost my opportunity to play baseball there and went to Wabash Valley, which was a competitive rival of Vincennes. So that's the reason I chose that, so I can kind of go, play against them. And I did very well the first game I played against them. So that went 3 for 3 and had a game-winning hit. So I felt good about that moment.
Nice.
But then, our team, went to finished third in the nation for the national championship through junior college, and then we got an associate's degree. And then I came back home, and then was going to finish my bachelor's degree at IUN. And I really liked law enforcement, sports management, law enforcement, things of that nature. And Crown Point was having a test for hiring additional police officers. And this was early 1990, a long time ago. And there was about 200 some plus applicants. I took the test just to get some experience because, when you first walk in that first time, do the written test and the agility test, you're not sure what you're going to have, right? I did very well. I finished number 1 in that test.
Nice.
And so
Out of 200.
Out of 200,
Nice.
yes. And
There's
so,
that competitive spirit.
yeah. I felt good about that.
Same guy that wanted to go kick the ass of his old school.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. And so then I was offered a position to become a police officer, and that really changed my mindset of where I was going to go. And so on June 14th, which is my sister's birthday, Sherry, so I always remember that. I always, on that day, got sworn in by Eileen Schultz. Mayor Forsythe wasn't here that day, but I was sworn in by the clerk treasurer, and the current clerk treasurer, Dave Benson. He was also sworn in the same day as him and I. That's how Dave Benson and I became good friends, and through the police academy.
Recently retired, right? A couple of years ago?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and then he was elected as our clerk treasurer.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's right.
I was the best man at his wedding.
Oh, that's
He
nice.
stood up at my wedding. So Dave and I have a long history of friendship and working together. But then was a police officer for 13 years. Every police officer, if you know any police officers in your life, they all work 1, 2, 3, 4 extra jobs, right? Make ends meet. So I was working St. Anthony's as security. I was, working, got into mortgages on the side. I was a high school basketball coach at the same time at Hanover Central.
He's a guy.
And then I got my health and life license. So I was doing all those things at one time. And in 2003, City Savings Bank out of Michigan City offered me an opportunity to run their construction loan division here in Crown Point. Still gave me the independence to still coach, still do my health and life license, and and things I'd like to do. And I was still able to ask for a driver's license because when you do mortgage applications, you still got to prove who these people
Yeah,
are.
there you
So switched over a little bit that way,
Kept that
and
habit.
then still providing a customer service aspect to our citizens of Crown Point. And then back in 2007, former Mayor Mitch, who was a good friend of mine, who was the mayor when I was majority of my career as a police officer here, really started to transform Crown Point for positive growth, smart growth, laying all that brick and mortar out there in Broadway, extending the Lake Michigan water to the city of Crown Point, laying all that infrastructure that's not sexy, right? You don't ever see it, but it became a big part of what Crown Point is today. Approached me about running for mayor in 2007, and I was kind of like thrown back and going, well, that's kind of a leap, right? And never been elected to an elected office before that. And but when you start to look at it, mortgage experience, right? So when you start to look at tax rates and values of assessed valuation, I got some experience wearing that hat. Law enforcement, big part of public safety. Keeping
Absolutely.
the fabric of your community strong and safe. Being a high school basketball coach, I wasn't a teacher, but I worked with schools, understood the dynamics of kids and extracurricular activities, and working with the classroom, being student athlete first, getting it done into grades. And you can see where we've transformed Crown Point with the partnership with the city and the schools being a community of choice for our students. That was a good thing. And then when you start to talk about health and life license, I was selling health insurance to individual business owners and or individual homeowners that were self-employed, right across the kitchen table, benefit packages and stuff like that. And you start to look with our employees, that was a big concern to those employees and their benefit packages. So to kind of put this in a nutshell so we can get past this and talk about other things besides myself here, I went to, I was a dark horse. I won the Democratic primary in 2007. And then just before the 2007 general election, I put out a video. So we go back to your topic where I like video and how we elevate the thought process. When you start knocking on 13,000 houses in Crown Point, well, probably back then it was probably at 10,000. People don't have time to hear somebody talk about politics, right?
Right.
They're worried about what's on the dinner, where they're going to take their kids, mowing their grass, house chores. They just don't have time, right? So I thought process was I have about 4 minutes of your time to sell myself and move on. That's all I'm going to get out of you. And a lot of times that you wouldn't even have that time, right?
No.
So we created a video called 4 Minutes Before Years. Gave a DVD about everything we would do and said, listen,
DVD.
a
Man.
DVD, and said,
Innovative.
if you care anything about your community, just watch 4 minutes of your time. And it's going to tell you about economic development, public safety, schools, how we're going to get kids, quality of life projects, sports fields, everything across the board is going to be in this 4 minutes. And if you like that, then as a non-elected official ever before, we're going to promise to put these things in. The whole word promise, right? And we had a 90-day plan, and we won. And in that first 90 days, we hit everything we said we were going to do on day one. For those first 90 days. 90 days, we hit that plan. Then everybody said, well, that was a fluke because there were some integral things being, between two other politics here in Crown Point from the Republican side didn't get along, and I just kind of snuck in, right? Okay, so 4 years later, I went against Eldon Strong, who was an elected official of the Republican Party for the Township Trustee's office, and anyways, well, here we go. This is my days are over, right? This is over. It's over with at this point. We won that election 2-1.
Did you have a volume 2 of the DVD?
No, we did not. No, we just went out and
Same DVD.
Continued to say, listen, we're going to continue to do what we said.
Absolutely.
And continue to do all the Crown Point. We're going to fix infrastructure. We're going to fix streets. We're going to improve your water. We're going to take care of flooding. We're going to hire more police officers. We're going to have more parks in place and quality of life things, and continue to work with our schools and have that teamwork going. So we won that. Third term was unopposed. So either we're doing good things or nobody wanted the job. Either way, we got through it.
Yeah.
And then in the fourth term in 2019, it was really fun to do. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's a podcast. We probably say anything we want.
Oh, yeah.
But, we're not going to just. But we won that one about 80 to 20 on that one. So,
My favorite thing was going on Facebook every day and getting a tag.
Oh, yeah.
Where you ran and seeing, yeah, this is fun. This is a lot of fun.
Well, there was a that's a story behind that because we were at 70 days out, and a friend of mine that I met through Greg, Jeremy Taylor, says, "Oh, 70 days out. Here's the election. Here's the post." He goes, "So am I gonna get one of those every day just to kind of build up that momentum to the election?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that every day."
Totally an idea.
And I'm like, "Well, every day, man, I gotta put a post up." And then I started to be creative with it. I'm like, "Well, I'll do it every day but Sunday because that's a day of rest.
Yeah.
Don't enjoy your family time." That was a day for me because I'm like,
I gotta get 6
I-
posts.
yeah. You start thinking about the next week.
Well,
Yeah.
some of it was getting teed up for you too. Some of that.
It was.
Some of that content was just let's just set that up for you and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
some fun.
Yeah, absolutely it was.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so here we are, and 14 plus years, into the whole scenario. Crown Point is where it's at today, based on good quality, smart growth, working with our council members, working with our department heads, working with our boards and committees, working with our business community, such as yourself, and as a resident itself. The one thing that we really enjoy in this job is we do the Tuesday talks.
Yeah,
And that's-
I love this. I want to bring that up.
And we get the community to come out and be involved. From day one, from 2008, we were transparent. We put all our meetings online. You can watch it live. So we weren't hiding from anything. So, instead of just reading it in a newspaper or hearing it at the barbershop or the beauty salon and getting the anecdotal story, we were giving you the true upfront information and
See yourself.
get people involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the 30-second commercial in 5 minutes there about where I'm at, where I came from.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest questions, we had all these questions lined out about to get you to tell us that whole story, but you did it on your own, so thanks. But I guess one question I did have was, making that transition from a police officer and a mortgage loan officer with the construction loans and everything. Were you at all nervous about putting yourself out there as a public official, or how was that decision? Was that tough for you at all?
Not really, because you look at other communities and cities and what a mayor's supposed to do. I came in 2008 in a housing crisis.
Yep.
Okay, and then when we have at the time it was the Indiana Cities and Towns, and now it's AIM. We would get together with other elected mayors in the state of Indiana, and people that had 2 or 3 terms experience before I came in. And you heard their stories, and they were panicking because their way of life was set one way, and when the housing crash came through, they had to pivot and kind of come up and be creative.
Yeah.
We came out of day one. This is what was in front of us, and we built it from going forward, not knowing what was prior to that.
Kind of
right?
like your normal.
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point.
That was absolutely the par of the first year, first day, right? And so then we begin to talk about growth, and we made a conscious decision at that time to continue to invest in our kids, and because amateur sports was something that was I played it. My parents put me through different locations, and we saw AAU how it was growing through all that stuff and changing. It was sports became a 12-month year-round
Absolutely.
application. Even with the housing crisis being what it is, parents still invest in their kids. So we said, listen, we're not going to have big boxes. We're not going to have the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depots. That's in Maryville. That's in Hobart. Why compete? Because we're still a regional thought process.
Yep.
We begin to build and invest in our kids in sports complexes, getting kids off the street, putting them in controlled atmospheres. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't have the background of sports with time management, working well with others, and doing all the other things to be competitive. Because in this world, you got to be a little bit competitive and be a little selfish in that aspect. And that's what's helped me just have a seat at the table and surround myself by quality people.
Yeah, we got an all-state wrestler and a washed-up baseball and basketball player here. So I get that totally, and I think that fits in really well with. Again, it makes a lot of sense now hearing more of your background about baseball and that competitive side of things to see what's happened in 14 years. 14 years sounds like a long time, but for the amount of change and positive change, it makes sense that it comes from that.
Greg and I were just talking about this a couple weeks ago. 14 years in any longevity of any career that you're doing is a long time. In politics, I treat it like dog years. It's like worth 5 for every time you go because it's 24/7.
Yeah.
And because of the social media aspect, it's really changed on how you want to be engaged with the community. This thing right here, the phone I carry with me all the time, My wife hates the fact that I'm on this all the time, but I'm like, listen, there's a post that's on social media from whatever platform that's out there, and the information is not correct.
Yes.
And I've got to nail that now, because if not, I won't see the hundreds of posts or shares that went out there
Yeah.
that have did a disservice to our community based on wrong information.
Right.
And so I hit it early, hit it often, you know, and I mean, you go to my Facebook page. That's me posting on there every day.
Yeah.
My cell number's on my Facebook. You so call me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a question about what's going on in City Crown Point, you call me. You know, and you know, we're gonna, you know, we might not agree,
Yeah.
but at least you have the right information.
I'm thinking about this like as my real estate business grows. I'm thinking about taking my cell phone off. You know, just I can't imagine being the mayor of this city and being like, hey, here it is. That's full transparency.
I mean,
That's awesome.
we're not going to hide about anything we do,
Yeah.
and
amazing.
it's easier to get in front of it than let it evolve to something that's you got to put fires out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question I would have is from going back to the start of it. What made you like? What was the reason? Why did you want to do it in the first place?
Well, first of all, I was told I couldn't win.
Oh, that's all that needed to happen right there.
That was enough going, well, you have no chance. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to outwork you.
I love that.
I'm going to knock on every house, maybe twice,
Yep.
and then become creative.
Yep.
And then we're going to back up everything we said we're going to do. We're going to get done. And then,
Awesome.
and then in the second term, well, that was a fluke, which, you know, we worked hard for 4 years. You know, we're like, well, it wasn't a fluke.
You went 2-1.
Yeah. And then, but this is a position that I absolutely love. I mean, I have no aspirations to go to another elected office. If when this ends, it will not be for another election or you know, for another name on a ballot. This is where it's at, and I enjoy it. It's a great job, and I don't even consider it a job because you're just working with great people and getting involved on an everyday basis. Because I live here. You know, I want this to be just the greatest place to live too. I mean, we've been recognized as one of the best places to live, you know, for many years in a row. We got a great downtown. The challenge that we see though is clashing of generations and philosophies. And you try to, so basically as a mayor, you're kind of like spinning on those plates and
Yeah.
you know, trying to make sure you get something for everybody.
For sure.
So there's some challenges out there.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's do it. So, Mitch, did you have anything else on that?
No, I'm good on that.
I know you went.
No,
like,
you
real well.
nailed
Yeah.
it.
So as far as some issues, or just things happening, developments, good things happen in the area, things coming. In regards to let's talk about schools being, I think if there's anything to look at, that's the pillar of success for Crown Point. You guys have done a great job with school districts, and we are seen as that. You know, that's kind of the pinnacle in the area based on the conversations I'm having with people. Obviously, there's a number of
Sure.
great districts in the area, but I think Crown Point, that's one of the biggest things, like you said, invest in to our kids. So talk about a little bit like the I would say from the beginning, from where it was at to now, what were some of those focuses that's gotten so much positive growth and impact on the school districts? How that go?
Well, I mean, obviously, we have no jurisdictional policy making from the city's perspective. The schools, they're independent themselves, but they run parallel paths with us, right? So when the school does well, we get that ability to build off that recognition and that worth, and whatever that worth is. Doesn't necessarily have to be dollars. It has to be, you know, good GPAs, lending kids to, you know, scholarships academically, athletically, and stuff like that. And it gravitates people to raise their families here, and because there's no doubt we are a neighborhood community, right?
Yeah.
We're households.
100%.
That's our biggest footprint of our community. And then you got to work with your elected officials, the school board, and your superintendent, but we have to also apply things that are going to help them as well. You know, we provide police officers within the schools to coordinate that relationship and tear down barriers that are out there, that law enforcement is not an impediment and hurdle, that they're part of your process, part of your fabric, part of your friends of the community, so to say. You know, we have crossing guards to make sure kids are, because it's a walkable community within 1 mile of those schools, which is good because it's tight there and stuff. And then we got to make sure that law enforcement and public safety is invested, because I believe good school systems and low crime rates run parallel paths. If the school system would, for whatever reason, fail, because they're not putting their investments into the proper, educational teachers and competitive salaries and having quality of classrooms for educational purposes. That will lead to some increase in crime activity. And then we have to have a law enforcement that actually is very proactive out there, but also community policing. So the neighbors get to know the police officers, they become part of that team fabric, to understand it. So when they work together, those are two winning formulas that I think that run on parallel paths.
We have a phenomenal law enforcement.
Yeah. We've invested, that whole national, the national politics. I'm discouraged on both sides, because they use things that, that are sensational to elevate their platform. The one thing you'll always see from us is we'll never take advantage of somebody's bad day to make us boost to a better day for us individually. Yeah. So, we invest in our police officers, we invest in our fire departments, firefighters and our EMA. And, when I first got in office, I think we had 37, 38 police officers, and we're a great way now, 55 police officers. We had 19 full-time firefighters, and now we're over 40 plus. And those are big things because of the quality of life of Crump. Of course, we're growing, but the one thing we're very proud of with the fire department is it's a changing dynamic, because it used to be more volunteers than it was full-time fire. And so you had to wait for the truck to come, and you had a captain that's on the truck waiting for the all the volunteers to show up, and then maybe 8 to 10 minutes. You'll get the truck out and get to wherever call you're going to go.
Time.
That's way too much time. So we have a truck that leaves the station within 4 minutes. We're at that house automatically, and then the support staff that comes in, and a lot of our volunteers are still just current firefighters who live in Crown Point, because it's difficult to get the volunteers to be part of that because of the change of dynamics of where people live and what the job requirements are.
Yeah.
So those are things that we felt like really helped to get that public safety side up. But the schools itself, we've got amazing teachers. Amazing.
I went through that system, and I mean, some of my teachers are still mentors to me to this day. Like to this day, 10 years out of Crown Point High School, and I've still got teachers that I talk to this day who have had massive impacts on my life.
And another organization that really helps with the schools is our local community foundation, because there's people that are influential in Crown Point that want to donate their dollars, and they've donated to, if you go through that booklet that they have for scholarships that are out there, they got something for everybody that walks out of that school, and they give them a handout or a scholarship that they've earned to give them a little bit of a push. I mean, that is what I think is the difference in our community, of our schools, and how people approach whether they have a student there or not.
Yeah. I got the Hub Bootery Scholarship, and within 6 months I was out of school. I had to give that back. I want to thank Hub Bootery for the opportunity. I hope I've made you proud now, but at the time I felt terrible. That was the hardest thing about leaving school and going to business, was going back to Hub Bootery and telling them, hey, I appreciate the scholarship, but I left, and but anyway, I just want to thank Hub Bootery for that opportunity. In regards to the schools now, I know obviously the school corporation handles everything that's going on, but your thoughts and just overall, positive thoughts on the outlook of the brand new Taft, right? And Wheeler, and now that whole process. I mean, we're going to have two basically brand new, very, very, I mean, they look like colleges, but they're 6th through 8th grade. Touch on your thoughts on that and the impact on the community.
Well, you'll hear from a different perspective from the community out there that maybe doesn't know. They think we're growing so fast that we caused the school to be able to have to go out and build. People will realize that property they have off of Gibson they've owned that property for decades. They knew back then when
that's where it was going.
Yeah, it was going to go. That's where they own property, and the highest best use at that time, because that school district is in the center township, which is outside of Crown Point per se. You're in Winfield, unincorporated parts of Crown Point, and you have the east side of Cedar Lake.
Yep.
And that's who it represents. And so when you start to look at housing development in all those areas, when they grow, they had the foresight back then. They have some property, so that when they start to look, Taft served its purpose. It's not efficient. You talk to the superintendent, it cost them more to just operate that facility than it's worth. The gymnasium isn't sustainable. The classrooms are out of touch, and not just energy efficient, right? So them moving over there is going to provide another resource that's going to service Winfield and Crown Point, and with Wheeler being redone, the high school's adding additional classrooms and resource centers down there. They got a $215 million renovation project going on, and they believe it or not, people, they want rooftops to support that, because Crown Point is a place to live. People are not leaving. For example, I had 4 kids and went through the school system. They're not living with me no more. I didn't move.
Yeah.
Okay, so my rooftop is not producing 4 kids in that school system. So we have a house that's not doing that. So the new housing that's coming into Crown Point is producing some kids that replaced my 4 kids. And with the additional rooftops coming in, we keep that tax rate stable.
Yeah.
71 cents on a 100 collected over the last 5-6 years. It's been stable. We have the lowest municipal. Now, that's not county, that's not the library, but we have the lowest municipal tax rate of any city in Lake, Porter, and LaPorte County by 2.5 times.
Wow.
And we're over $2 billion, with the B, billion dollar assessed valuation in the city of Crown Point. During the pandemic, our credit rating was elevated. During the pandemic, usually it's going to be stable or going to be downgraded because revenue sources weren't coming in. We were increasing our revenue sources. We were doing different things. We were looking at Gateway, which is a perfect site to go look at everybody's municipalities and what they have for different funds. What was it, Greg? 5 or 6 years ago, we had about 22 million in total value of all our accounts combined. Today, we're at 67 million.
Wow.
This is after paying our bills.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we have a rainy day fund. We're efficient with our dollars, and again, not every one of those funds is not an open checkbook. You can't take sanitary dollars and hire police officers. You can't, so you have to have different buckets to resource it. But when you start to combine that and you start to look at your credit worthiness and your debt to income ratios, yeah, we have debt on the books, but the debt we have on the books, if we had to write a check tomorrow, we could pay it right off.
That's awesome.
And so you're going to invest. And that was the first challenge I got in 2011 was throwing in my face of all the debt that Crown Point had that I didn't create, but inherited.
And now it's your
But we added it to it, right? And it really equated to about less than 2% of your value.
Wow.
So, so you guys are real estate guys.
Yeah.
In over 20 years, and this was over a 20-year period, right? And this was what I was challenged. I said, over a 20-year period, you didn't spend 2% of what your house was worth to reinvest in your carpet, a new bathroom, buy appliances.
Yeah.
That's all the city of Crown Point did.
Same
And so when you see the number, it looks daunting, but when you put it in a perspective, people understand in a smaller framework.
awesome.
It was easy to understand. That's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
and we haven't changed that philosophy.
Yeah. And that's amazing. What about the what's going to happen to the Taft building? Do we know?
That's a decision that they're going to have to make, and I suggest if you have an opportunity to reach out to the superintendent.
Yeah, that'd be a great conversation.
Yeah.
I would love you guys should have
Literally,
you should have Todd come on your show.
Yeah.
And
Put him in the hot seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know that he's getting a lot of they've redone their schedule and when they're going to start and
Yep.
and
Yep, it's fair and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Get
the
there.
3 days and
Yeah.
that's not our deal.
It'd be a hot time to talk about that right now. So
Yeah.
we can bring it
But,
up.
You know what? I mean, it's like everything else. They'll start August 10th.
Yeah.
And then when they go that first break and they get a week long in the fall break,
Yeah.
they're going to say, this is great.
Yeah.
They get an extra day to travel because they're going to go to Thanksgiving, and then they're going to get out early. I mean, it'll
work out.
it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest people are complaining I see on Facebook, is that people don't have kids in school.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say it's always people that don't
for
talk
some
about
reason
them.
now, everyone wants to fight somebody else's fight.
Yeah.
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 The superheroes, we have a lot of superheroes in Crown Point.
Cool. Well, no, I appreciate that. Let's talk about a question. With you guys got a lot going on with downtown parking. You recently had an event or had a meeting on that and put together a plan on that. Can you talk a little bit about because it's been the conversation for years now, especially with new restaurants, everything happening. People want to come downtown. We're blessed that we have our own parking lot, which is, I think we might be the only office that has our own parking lot.
Very
We are
fortunate.
very, very blessed with that. We got 18 spots in the back, which is
Premium.
premium.
Thank
Premium
you, Mike
reserve.
Duzak, Mike
Don't,
Pan.
don't touch it, or you're getting. I'm kidding. But what's going on?
You guys are like the Wrigleyville of the square.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
But
yeah, so
I mean, obviously with our courthouse and this is the place where everybody gravitates. We're very fortunate that we have a very vibrant downtown. I talk to other mayors in throughout the state, and they're struggling to keep their downtown vibrant.
Yeah.
And from shopping to restaurants. This This is a business application during the day, and at night it turns into a nightlife. So there's something for everybody down here, and it's really the heartbeat of our community. And so we wanted to reinvest, and we did this 2 years ago, pre-pandemic. And we took a lot of heat for it because we fixed all the sidewalks, we made everything ADA compatible, and then we allowed a bigger footprint for outdoor dining. And everybody's like, oh, nobody wants to go out and dine. Everybody had their their thought process.
2 cents.
Yeah, you're changing the fabric of the downtown. It's been historically, it's never looked that way. Well, back in the day, we didn't have concrete. You had horses. So everything changes for a reason.
That was when you were in high school?
No, yeah, that's good, Mitch. I'll get that. Yeah, so then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then the restaurants were able to go outside and have outdoor dining and still be sustainable.
Yeah,
One of the things
yeah.
that we could never predicted that,
Exactly.
but it's a cause and effect. It was a
even
positive
now,
thing.
Well, and even now, prefer to be outdoor. Outside of my
Yeah.
daughter running out everywhere. But when it's just my wife and I, our friends going out, I prefer to be outside.
Yeah, it's a great place to go work too.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
We do it all the time. There's, as local business owners, and people in business in the area, we drink coffee from local spots. We eat
Sure.
food from local spots. We put all our money right back in here. We can walk right to it all. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. And then at night, go to dinner with our family and friends. It's right here in town.
Yeah, a lot of people give us, think that we just put all this extended sidewalks out there for Mark Moskowski to continue to have a track to walk around, but that wasn't the case at all. But he utilizes a
Shout out
lot.
to Mark.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
I know Mark very well.
Yeah.
I coached him in high school and stuff at the end.
That's awesome.
So, but so you look at our parking. We always want to, look at our current footprint. Can we get the highest and best use out of what we currently have? And so when we start to look at the east side of the square where the city hall was at, the library, the post office, there's a lot of activity goes right there. And so we want to have better. A few years ago we increased the signages to try to get a better understanding of where you can park all day and 2-hour parking. We're going to do a better job of reinventing that as well. But we bought 2 houses that were just strictly rental houses. We bought them by market value. We've increased the parking. We're going to increase the parking this year by the library. We did an agreement with them. The police department, we're going to reconfigure that north or that south lot to have just one entrance and exit onto Clark Street.
Okay.
Because there's too many conflicting from both sides of the street there. So then we can put 18 or 19 slotted parking spots right in front of the police department on the street and East Street itself. We're replacing all those trees that were actually planted up and down Clark and East Street weren't really parkway type trees, so they'll do more damage below ground. They will look above ground.
Gotcha.
And so we're conscious of that. I think we took down about 11 trees in that corridor. We're poised to put up at least 22 additional trees, so we're double mitigating the tree aspect and things that are more conducive to that area where parkways will survive without tearing up the infrastructure. And then, but then we're working to deal with the post office and combining our municipal lot with them. And so collectively, from the post office to on-street parking to the houses and working with our private stakeholders here, we're adding about 150 additional parking spaces just in the east side of Crown Point, which is then going to be a gateway into the square.
Yeah.
We're going to improve the Perry Court access from the municipal lot, from the post office, so it feels like when you park here, you're part of the square. Yeah, so it's more enticing for people to want to park there.
Yeah.
Better lighting, better walkways.
Makes a lot of sense.
What a good problem to have. Needing more parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
challenge.
a
And nobody wants the meters in the square. Nobody wants, so it's kind of like, all right, but we're not sure how that's going to eventually evolve. I look at the squares. These are box seats, right? These are the premium spots. We talked about maybe at one point putting these as metered and having free parking elsewhere, and you can build a parking garage off-site that doesn't cost anybody, and basically the meters will pay for
And
it.
that was a question that I had too. Is parking garage anywhere in the plan in the future?
I think as we continue to grow and you see more people want to gravitate to downtown, that's going to be a question that has to be answered maybe 5 years down the road.
Gotcha.
But the one thing you have to do now, because everything you see in Crown Point doesn't happen overnight, you have to have a 5-year capital plan. You got to have things in place so when you have to get like grants from the federal grants or from the state or saving your local money here, having planned, that's for 5 or 6 years down the road. And so like 109th was the same way. We didn't build that overnight.
Yeah.
That was a 6 to 7 year process. And now you see where it's at.
Well, that's a good segue because that's exactly where I wanted to go. 109.65, 231. From the perspective of, you had mentioned it too. You know, we're a neighborhood community, right? And as our business in real estate, we deal with people every single day. And what we are seeing is typically a younger family with younger kids. They want to be here because of what we talked about: schools, the downtown, safety, right? Everything that we've got there breeds success for young families, right?
Absolutely.
That's why my family and I are not leaving, right? This is a great place for us to live, and we have we plan to invest in the future here. So, what we've noticed with, you know, people around our age, younger families and so on, they typically want, and we talked about this before the show, but access, right? Access to things, access to great schools, places to eat, places to entertain, places to work, right? Everything that they can do right here or as close as possible to home, right? So in that area, in my opinion, when I look at, when I look at Crown Point and I know you guys have a plan for this, so I'm curious to see, and we're hearing about what's going on over in that corridor, 109.65. When you look at, and I guess it depends on the vision of Crown Point. What is the vision of Crown Point? Which would be a question I would leave to you. But then that area, and when you look at the best places to live, typically it's close to an interchange where people can easy access, easy come, easy go. Thus 65, 109th is centrally located. What is Crown Point doing because obviously Crown Point's not the one, you know, building these buildings, but they're working with those.
Well, you would think we are.
Investors.
Everybody thinks we are.
Exactly.
Those superheroes.
We're the ones pulling the building permits.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
But what is Crown Point? Because I think there's two places that again, access to those things that we would like to see more from the perspective of people living here, which is places to go entertain with kids, like, right? Places I think the restaurant thing's coming up, but maybe, you know, places to take your kids, places to take your fun things to do, right? Not necessarily a Topgolf, although if it's at 109.65,
Wouldn't be mad about it.
investor, I'm in.
I would be, yeah.
I would do anything for that, but I don't think we got the demos for that. But it would make sense if we had the only one right there. But anyway, if anyone knows anyone invests in Topgolf, I would gladly talk to them. But you know, things to do, entertain, right? Take kids, indoor places to kids, and then second would be more. What is the city doing to attract some of those business owners that are looking to bring their businesses here and their offices here? Maybe they're in Illinois and they're tired of the taxes, and maybe them themselves are moving out here, and now they're looking to bring their business here. When I look at that corridor, I look at that's a space that I know you guys have a plan on. I'm interested to see what is it that the city is doing to maybe attract some of those businesses or to come here and bring those high quality jobs and high quality places for entertainment, commercial space, things to do.
That's a long question. But I'll try to get some of
Yeah,
those
it was like
points.
7 questions
Yeah.
in one, so I apologize.
It's a run-on sentence.
Yes.
It's old school. One question, 27 parts. So it's, you know, we have a master plan. We have a comprehensive plan for the city of Crown Point. So when you start to look at the footprint of our city and our corporate boundary limits, you know where residential goes, you know where your commercial growth is going to go, your office space, your industrial, and things like that. And then you start to, you know, work with our local planners and people that call our office, say, hey, look, we're looking to locate here, or we're looking to expand or move to the city of Crown Point. That's where we're really working with your council, because I have no vote on, land planning, plan commission, stuff like that as a mayor. I mean, everybody thinks that we do everything and everything gravitates. There's checks and balances across the board. So when you see something gets built here in Crown Point, yeah, I have a part of it is saying it right for the vision side, but then it has to go through the process of the plan commission, the BZA, your city council, all have to sign off on it. So it's a long, tedious process, and that's the red tape of government. But we're people want to gravitate here. But the big part I want to bring up first is, you know, when people see the business component just blown up in Crown Point, these are your already existing neighbors that you are surrounded. These are people that live in Crown Point, that have their dollars or their dreams, and they're reinvested in their community. So when you start to look at, hey, we're growing at too fast, or these things are maybe at a pace that you're not comfortable with, these are the people you live with, and they're investing their dollars here. And these are all complementary type of businesses that come here. You know, again, we talked about early on, we don't have the big boxes. We have the sports complexes that draws tourism
Yes.
dollars here. That Monday through Thursday,
I prefer that.
Monday through Thursday, it's in-house league. Our kids get the best facilities to play at. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the rest of the world gets to come here and play against our kids,
Yeah.
and they leave their dollars here.
And now we got the corn dogs too.
We got the core
Oh
dogs
yeah,
here, right?
we're
Just
excited
bought
about
tickets
that.
Opening day.
So you brought up demographics and how people would land here, and Top Golf would look at us and go, Top Golf just did a research and says, well, it doesn't match our demographics, or it doesn't match our medium incomes and stuff like that. That was the challenge we had by going out there and promoting our community, that if you just did that through the simple Google search, Crown Point would still be just, and people probably love this, would just be cornfields. We had to go out there and sell that story and tell them about what it is of our downtown, the types of schools we have, the type of people that locate here, how many people are going to continue to invest in themselves.
So true.
And we told that story, and we're the biggest cheerleader. And then some of these larger places wanted to come here. You know, you see Franciscan Health reinvesting $350 million of a hospital that's going to transform Northwest Indiana in medical facilities. And they're going to lead the charge.
Yeah.
University of Chicago wants to come in and get a piece of that as well, right?
It's big.
Lake Born Joint wants to, it's got the corporate headquarters here now.
Yeah. It's
Methodist has reinvested in our sports complex, right, with a satellite office. And then you got Community Hospital and the stroke center that's over there. So we became a medical facility destination place here that is good for our residents if you want quality care, but it also brings people from outside areas that have a need for that type of medical assistance. And when they come here, they're going to stop, they're going to shop, they're going to eat, they're going to support different things. One of the biggest challenges we had to our business owners to say, hey, listen, continue to help us invest into these things was through the sports complex side, right? And all of us could walk in this room, go to a restaurant, and they wouldn't know if we're a visitor or we live here because of the way we're dressed.
Yep.
But when you start to see kids that said Michigan, Wisconsin, Kentucky, New York across their chest, and they can actually quantify that these are actually visitors and tourism, people that come into the city of Crown Point, spending their additional dollars, and they're not buying cheese sticks, they're buying the steaks, because this is their vacation,
Yeah.
right? They're going to elevate the game. And anytime you guys go on vacation outside of Crown Point, you don't go on the cheap side. You're going to go ahead and really give yourself a nice
Enjoy
week
it.
or two. Absolutely. Those are the same people coming to Crown Point or coming to the region, and now are going to spend their disposable income here. One of the best things we had here when we had the NSA World Series, and we had it on the square, and we had over 10,000 families and players on the square. And we told all our business owners, this is on a Monday night, this is maybe 10 years ago. And usually businesses, especially mom and pop businesses in a city our size, would go dark on a Monday. They get a day off, give the staff a day off, and we'll regroup on a Tuesday, work hard all the way through Sunday. We convinced them to stay open. I said, listen, we have a large group coming in here, and we're going to go ahead and they're going to just enjoy please be open. Most of them stayed open. And then the complaints we got were, we're out of supplies. We've got to get a hold of somebody now because now our whole week is messed up because they bought everything we had. The compliment we got was we gave them an extra Friday and a Monday.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they started to see us having these tourism types of events come through our city. And it really started to get the momentum going, the wave of understanding and embracing the tourism dollars that come to the city of Crown Point. And that's changed everything. Our Parks Department was about $800,000 a year on the tax rolls of our property taxes. They're $2.2 million now, not on our tax rolls, self-sufficient based on revenue sources that come in through sponsorships, events, things of that nature. That extra dollars that would have been in the tax rolls now have been diverted to the police and fire side, and we're able to grow with it without raising the tax rates.
That's awesome.
This is where everything's coming together and it's working and balances out. This is how we reinvest in ourselves. And our goal as a government is not to get involved in the private business and what you do and operate. It's us to put people in front of your door. And we've done a great job of doing that. Now it's up to you as the business owner to have a product that they want to buy.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the difference between the public and private side.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Shopping, is that looking to go around 109.65? That area, is that where most of it's
It's-
out for?
It depends.
And downtown, how do you?
Obviously, I mean, when you talk about shopping, I mean, are we going to get, it's different now because of Amazon. It's different because what you can buy online.
Definitely.
The malls are kind of gravitating a little bit different. You know, there was a project that was talked about coming at 231 was an outlet mall, right?
Yep.
That's, day one, if you'd have told me that, I'd been excited. I would have been standing out there with my shovel, and nobody would have came. 14 years later, I hear this. I'm excited for the opportunity. Let's hear it. Let's walk, see what happens. And until the shovel gets on the ground, you don't get too excited until you start to see some momentum there, because it's
Is it still in the work in the talks at?
we haven't heard much lately, but there's different things that are taking place out there. I think with St. Anthony's or Franciscan Health, I should say, investing out there, that will have a little bit of a wave of growth. But that's in the right areas. You're on a 231 and 65. That is where it needs to go. 109th and 65 is where commercial growth should be at.
Yeah.
That's where the hotel's at. That's where the restaurants are coming in. That's our busiest corridor.
The planning commission meeting with what is it? Longhorn, just
Texas
Texas Corral.
Another hotel probably for that same those sporting events. People coming in town.
Absolutely.
Need that,
Well,
right?
hotels are like CVS and Walgreens. When one
They don't
goes here, you have to have somebody
Yeah.
across the street. But that's almost the number one producing hotel in Northwest Indiana. For years, I've always said Hobart and Maryville should send us a Christmas card, because we fill their hotels.
No, you're not lying.
We fill their hotels.
Yep.
With tourism
And,
and quality people that want to come here.
Yep.
We heard it early on. Oh my goodness, you're gonna build a hotel in Crown Point.
just like the rental thing we were talking about. So,
You know what that does? I'm like, what does that do? It brings people to Crown Point and spends money here.
Yeah.
People always want to take the anecdotal story that it's going to bring crime and just trash to Crown Point. And that's not the case at all, because one, we have a community that stands up against that. Two, we have great law enforcement that doesn't make that happen. And three, those are the same people. I asked them, do you guys take vacation?
Yeah.
And where do you go? And do people treat you differently when you go to Orlando or go to Las Vegas or go to Austin, Texas, because they feel like you're going to trash your community? No, that's so that story is just, it gets tiresome sometimes to hear that we're pulling the wool over his eye 15 years later, that we're going to go ahead and now change it. That's not the case at all.
Yeah. You got any other questions you want to ask?
No, I think that's a pretty good segue over
Yeah.
to the rentals, if you want to speak on that.
Quickly on that, yeah.
I look at, the word rental sometimes is just a name that gets out there and gets tossed around like it's a bad thing. It's a diversified housing stock market, right? Everybody has what they want to do. Today's marketplace, there's people that don't want to buy. They're not sure where they want to live, but they have the disposable income to have a high quality place at the same time. The watermark company that wants to come in here, and they've got a proven product over the last 5-6 years in other areas. We've seen it. It works. These are single family houses that are $400,000-$500,000
It's a
investments.
phenomenal product.
They're a house.
They're beautiful houses.
Yes.
You guys have houses, right?
We look
Yeah.
How much work did you have to put in your house every day and mow your grass, and siding falls off, you got to fix it, or an appliance breaks? They have that across the board and have that fixed for you. The value of those houses are going to stay high.
Yeah.
It's
Well
not going to
maintained.
be, and everyone's going to say it's an apartment complex. It's not an apartment complex.
No.
It's a single family house that if that market changes on Waterside, those are all individually platted lots, recorded that way. They can sell.
Worst case
They could sell individually at that marketplace at that time individually.
Those will sell for.
And you guys are in real estate. How difficult it is to find a house in Crown Point.
Oh my goodness.
So
Very difficult.
if that happens,
That's the worst case.
there's other things in life that's going to be, I always say that, if amateur sports go south, we're all in trouble. That's why I say that's where we invest in the kids all the time. What if they go south and amateur sports collapse? Then you better make sure you have your bunkers filled with all your canned goods, because there's a big problem going on, right? So a lot of people want to go this avenue of it's doomsday all the time.
Yeah.
It's near 65 and 231. It's zoned for R3. They're compliant with the R3 product. The original footprint that was on there that was approved before we took office in 07 was over 600 homes in that corridor. Attached duplexes and things of that nature. There was an apartment complex that was on that property. Now these is 185 homes. Okay, that are rentals. Yes, they're rentals. They pay twice as much as you do as a homeowner. And I'm tired of people saying the people that live there don't pay anything. Well, they're paying a rent that the landlord, who's now going to turn a check over to the city for 2% that goes right to your school, whether or not you have kids in there or not. That's like having nearly 400 homes, and having it come back down to really a realistic location, high value homes near an interstate. You guys do this for a living. Where do you find that at?
Not.
So the best case scenario, this is a pretty good investment.
I
Absolutely.
agree. All right, we'll let you out of here. What finish out? What is with where you're at right now? What's your vision for Crown Point? Where do you want? Where do you see Crown Point 5 years, 10 years? I mean, you said you got, who knows how long you're gonna be doing this. What's your vision for Crown Point?
We just wanted to continue to make sure that we're worth more tomorrow than we were today. Over the last 14 years, we're 22% worth more than we were before. Our scorecard is you buy a house in Crown Point, and if it's worth more tomorrow, we're doing our jobs, right? That means we're hitting things correctly. We're investing in our public infrastructure. We're making sure roads are being fixed. Your water works. You can flush your toilet and it doesn't, hurt your home, right? Stormwater is a difficult proposition because the ever-changing climates are harder and stronger. But we want to make sure that water stays in the streets and not in your basements. We're going to continue to invest in public safety. All the things that we believe are in place, whether we're here or not, that baton can be passed to somebody else, and it's going to continue to gravitate to the right things. So whoever takes, if I leave tomorrow, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, it's going to be left better than I received it, and that is no disrespect to anybody before me, because every mayor that's before me that's been around, we've invited to our grand ribbon cuttings because they all played a positive part in transforming Crown Point and building a solid foundation. So we're just excited for the future. I mean, people want to gravitate here. People want to live here. We're a employer of choice. People work for Crown Point. They don't want to leave, and they want to continue to invest. So that's building a strong community from within in the last 45 minutes, I guess, in a nutshell.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, as a resident, it is a blessing living here. I love living here.
And you guys got this is a great location. Look at this. We have the box seat looking north.
That's right.
A beautiful downtown.
We are
And, we only saw Mark walk by here once. So
That's
I had my over at 3,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the case. So
we'll take some wagers next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Friday out for the day.
yeah, he is.
But,
I forgot about that. Most people are taking Good Friday off
Yeah.
here, so I'll give them a break.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for everything that you guys do. It's awesome, and I love being a part of this community. Both at work, because I live 4 minutes from here. I work right here. I mean, it's so great. I'm very grateful to again live, work, eat, entertain,
Yep.
everything right here, and it is a blessing.
Isn't it great to walk out of your doorstep of your home and go, I'm at work already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because you really are. I mean, as somebody that's in real estate here, and you guys do that, and you guys live here in Crown Point, when you walk out of your house, you are looking at your book of business
Right there.
right out of the gate. Right out of the gate.
I think my favorite thing about this city is new or people who've been here, whether they're just coming to move here. Every day I meet people that I'm fascinated by how many amazing people live here. Every single day I talk to people, and I've built so many relationships with people, whether they're business or not. There's so many incredible people who live here, and that's what makes this community so great. I just love walking out and I see someone new or meet someone new or whatever it is. It's just an amazing community of people, and again, that comes though from leadership, and what you guys have done with your administration is amazing. So
Well,
thank you.
we can't close this show unless Mitch does his own tagline that he knows to say. Come on, Mitch, gotta give us. That's that comment about that horses and
Yeah. It's a rising tide lifts all boats.
There you go.
There
it is.
There you go. Where's it live by there?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well,
That's right. You got a bumper sticker if you want one.
well, thank you for your time.
We appreciate it, and happy
Appreciate
holiday.
you.
I know not everybody celebrates Easter, but enjoy your family, enjoy your time. We know that we never know what life has in store for you, so enjoy today because tomorrow's not promised. So
Amen. Thank you, man. Appreciate your time.
thanks,
Thanks a lot,
appreciate it,
guys.
guys.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks for staying late.
Yeah.